off a daily fantasy. His number too high, then I'm probably fading him. He been on the road, he gon' eat up my salary. I hit up by, he gon' lie before lock. Play back to back, then I probably won't pick on the DFS bachelor, good as it gets. Build a few liners and hit me a leg. He had a good game, but it might be a trick. Log in the Slack so I know who to pick. Sharing our liners, we all gon' get rich. New to this game, you should come to the pad. You might want some cash and get a good laugh. DFS sports, we gon' run up a bag. He heard every game and it's making me mad. You buying your lineups, I think you a cheater. DFS bachelor, he the new leader. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Bachelor Pad. I, of course, am your host, the DFS Bachelor, and we are going to go over our Fanduel and Draftkings NBA slate for Monday, February 24th. It's an 8-game slate, so we've got our top 5, 6, maybe 7 in each position to go over today. First things first, hope you all had a great weekend. Cheers to you all. Coffee and Bailey's morning. I need a little booze in me right now. Hope you all had a great weekend. Hope you enjoyed the fight. Fury absolutely dominated Wilder. It was a bit shocking how dominant that was, but that damn first knockdown behind the ear right there, not sure is totally unintentional, but completely knocked the equilibrium off for Wilder. The whole fight kind of ruined it, kind of turned it into it was almost uncomfortable to watch at some points. But I hope you all enjoyed your weekend. Thank you all so much for making me a part of your day every day, for all the support, the kind words, retweeting the video out, the kind words on Twitter, just all that stuff. I really do appreciate you all. It's truly humbling. Thank you all so much. If you are new to the channel, welcome to the team. Be sure to hit subscribe down below, get access to all of our content. Our Fantasy Draft NBA video is up. You can comment with your Fantasy Draft username and qualify for our giveaway on Fridays, XFL, etc. Lots and lots of stuff, so I appreciate all that. Also, by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving a comment in the comment section, you qualify for the weekly $25 PayPal giveaway that we announce every Monday, and that is brought to you by Draft Dashboard. A big thank you to them for that. Draft Dashboard is the tool. We're going over all the stats, research, hit percentage. You can set exposures for your mass lineup generator. You can use My Player Pool. If you use that link, you get access to that as well, and the lineup optimizer, etc. You can try Draft Dashboard right now for 30 days for $1 by clicking that link in the video description below. And before I forget, because I am getting old and tend to forget things, our winner this week of the $25 PayPal giveaway is Sheldon Trott. So Sheldon Trott, congratulations to you. Hit me up on the Twitter sphere at DFS Bachelor or in the comment section. Let me know how to get that PayPal to you, and we'll get it sent to you right away. So congratulations to you. It's that simple. Like, comment, subscribe. Boom, you qualify for it every week. So, let's start going over it. Really important before we get started. Number one, I try to remember to say this all the time, but it's really important, especially now. Never ever play more than you can afford to lose. This is supposed to be fun, man. It's not supposed to be, like we say, we don't want little Timmy not having a sandwich for school lunch because DFS Bachelor told you to play Luka Doncic and he gets hurt in the first quarter and boom. That's not what we're looking for here. It's supposed to enhance our experience and be fun. So make sure you don't play more than you can afford to lose. That'd be my advice. Anyways, also, this time of the year in the NBA, we all know it's tank time. It's stupid starting lineup time. Shout out to Dwayne Casey for starting Thon Maker all the time. I mean, what the fuck? And then, of course, I get all indignant and bash him on Twitter. Then Christian Wood still goes off, so it was fine. No real reason to get pissed off. But there is something annoying about that. But make sure you follow the news on Twitter. You can follow me at DFS Bachelor. There's lots of great companies you can follow and people you can follow. Staying up to date on what's going on, it's that time of the year where there's going to be some frustration. So just keep that in mind. So let's get started. At the top, point guard's a good position today. You've got Westbrook, Luka, and Trae Young at the top. I think all three are certainly in play. Luka is supposed to play after missing the last game with that ankle injury. He's 9-8 on Fanduel, 10-5 on Draftkings. Minnesota is 20th against opposing point guards. I like Trae Young a lot. No Ben Simmons to deal with defensively. He's 9-6 on Fanduel, 10-6 on Draftkings. Now, Philly is 4th against opposing point guards, but if you look at Trae Young, look at his last 5 games against Philly. Only 2 of those games were under 50. They were a 36 and a 32. But his other 3, a 53, a 60, and in his last game out against Philly, he put up a 72. I like Trae Young an awful lot. We're going to be keeping an eye on that Elfrid Payton situation in New York. They'll try to rope you into playing Frank Ntilikina or Dennis Smith Jr. Good luck with that. Next, Eric Bledsoe. Too cheap on Fanduel. 6-1 on Fanduel. He is 7-2 on DraftKings, which is pushing it. Washington is allowing the fourth most fantasy points in the league to opposing point guards. His last 2 games against Washington, in fact, his last 3 games against Washington, all he's done is put up a 49, a 51, and a 57. Can sign me up for that. Next, Mike Conley, especially on DraftKings at 5-3. I like that price for him on 5-3. One of the few players who are getting a better value on DraftKings than we are on FanDuel today. He's 5-7 on FanDuel. Phoenix allowing the 5th most fantasy points in the league to opposing point guards. A 35, a 32, 25, a 50 in 3 of his last 4. Of course, that 8, he was just coming back from injury, wasn't playing many minutes. I like the matchup and the price for Mike Conley tonight. Next, no Jimmy Butler for Miami tonight against a Cleveland team who's allowing the most fantasy points in the league to opposing point guards. I like Kendrick Nunn. He's 4-7 on FanDuel, 5-6 on DraftKings. Again, Cleveland allowing the most fantasy points to opposing point guards. A 45 and a 46 in 2 of his 3 games versus Cleveland this year. I do like Kendrick Nunn, and there is some value down here. Reggie Jackson is only 4-1 on FanDuel. Now he's way up at 6-1 on DraftKings. No Patrick Beverly, so he's probably going to remain in the starting lineup. Played 35 and 22 minutes the last 2 games. It's a paced-up game against a Memphis team that allows the 9th most fantasy points in the league to opposing point guards. I do like Reggie Jackson. Jordan McLaughlin's out now because D'Angelo Russell should be returning to the lineup tonight for Minnesota. Landry Shamit's going to play a ton of minutes. He doesn't usually do a bunch with it, but he's someone you could consider down there as well. Let's go to shooting guard. Spencer Dinwiddie, another good point guard option, of course, with no Kyrie Irving. There's lots of good point guard's a strong position today. At shooting guard, James Harden, of course, at the top. 11-5 on FanDuel, 11K on DraftKings. The Knicks are 19th against opposing shooting guards. Look what he's done his last 3 games against the Knicks. A 62, a 95, a 95, and a 51. Big time upside at home. Of course, you just worry about the blowout because the Knicks are so terrible. That's the only thing that would concern you there with James Harden. Karis LeVert, 6-5 on FanDuel. Now he's 7-3 on DraftKings. It's starting to get a bit ridiculous, but this guy is just chucking it up whether the shots go in or not. Dude's taking 25 shots a game. He's got 40 points, 3 straight games. His last time out against Orlando, he put up a 31. Karis LeVert, a big part of that offense for Brooklyn. Right below that, Malik Beasley. Now, it is a back-to-back for Minnesota, but he's playing big-time minutes. He's the starting shooting guard in Minnesota now. He's got big-time 40-point upside. He's 5-6 on FanDuel, 6K on DraftKings. Dallas is 7th against opposing shooting guards. But just look at ever since he's come over to Minnesota as a starter, I mean, look at his last 5 games. Only 1 game under 33. He's got a 43 and a 38 in that time frame. Big-time upside, 6K and under. I like that play for Malik Beasley. It's about time I get back on the Jordan Clarkson train. Title of his sex tape. There we go. Now that means he's probably going to shit the bed tonight because every time I play Jordan Clarkson, all the way back to his Laker days when Russell would be out and he would start and he would have these 50-point games and I would play him and he would get an 11. He is coming off the bench, but he's 5-3 on FanDuel, 5-7 on DraftKings. Phoenix 26th against opposing shooting guards. More importantly, Jordan Clarkson is putting up huge numbers in, 20, he's playing in the high 20s, low 30s. His last 5 games, a 40, a 44, a 34, a 31. His last game out against Phoenix, he put up a 35. I certainly can go to Jordan Clarkson. Lou Williams is super cheap at 5-2 as well. He's playing a paced-up game against Memphis. He has a 34 and a 47 in his last 2 against Memphis. Josh Richardson without Ben Simmons in a paced-up game against an Atlanta team that allows the 4th most fantasy points in the league to opposing shooting guards. 5-1 on FanDuel, 4-8 on DraftKings, a 31, a 39, and a 48 in 3 of his last 4 against Atlanta. Again, no Ben Simmons, extra usage for all of those guys across the board. Not so much Delon Wright anymore tonight, although I don't mind him at 4-3 on DraftKings. Duncan Robinson should see a ton of minutes. He's got some upside against a bad Cleveland defense as well. Let's go to small forwards. Small forwards, Giannis at the top, of course. Massive upside against a Washington team that's 17th against opposing small forwards. Both teams play at a nice pace. It's actually slightly paced down for Milwaukee, but that's just because Milwaukee plays super fast. Washington's still a very fast-paced team, should be a ton of extra possessions. Now, of course, you just worry about the blowout because Milwaukee is pummeling the shit out of everybody. I think their plus-minus is, 12.5, 12.8, something like that. They're just crushing teams. They've already clinched a playoff berth, the earliest team to clinch a playoff berth in the last 15 years. 11-8 on Fanduel, 11-4 on DraftKings. 73, a 61, and a 51 in his last 3 against Washington. Of course, Giannis is in a great spot tonight. And then this position gets really, really weak. I guess I'm looking at Kelly Oubre, Michael Bridges, 5-3 on Fanduel, 4-7 on DraftKings. Utah is 7th against small forwards, power forwards, but he's got some 35-point upside down in the 5K, 4K, high fours. Certainly got to consider that. For some value, a guy like Cam Reddish, 4-7 on FanDuel, 5K on DraftKings. Now, these young guys, Hunter, Reddish, etc., Kendrick Nunn falls into that category, John Morant. Really explosive, big-time upsides, but wildly inconsistent, so they have that scary floor. But back-to-back games, he has a 34 and a 39. I think Cam Reddish could be an interesting value pivot at 4-7 and 5K. Marcus Morris for the Clippers, especially if Paul George does indeed miss tonight. He's 4-4 on FanDuel, 4-9 on DraftKings. Memphis, 27th against opposing small forwards. 4 straight games in the 20s against Memphis. Marcus Morris could be an interesting value guy as well. DeAndre Hunter looking iffy right now. Personal reasons, we'll have to just see if he plays tonight. Glenn Robinson is remaining in the starting lineup for Philly. Now, he's not playing a ton of minutes, but it is a nice matchup. A little bit of a revenge game for Glenn Robinson, the third member who spent a few years with Atlanta. 3-8 on FanDuel, 3-2 on DraftKings. Atlanta allowing the second most fantasy points in the league to opposing small forwards. You can see his last game he started. He still only played 19 minutes, but he was able to put up a 26 in that time frame. The matchup is there, and especially that price on DraftKings down at 3-2. I could certainly go there if you're looking for a tournament dart throw or even for cash games on DraftKings. I think at 3-2, you could consider Glenn Robinson. Power forward, Kawhi Leonard at the top, 9-9 on FanDuel, 9-7 on DraftKings. Memphis is 16th against opposing power forwards. There's no Jaren Jackson to deal with for Memphis. 39 is last time out against Memphis, nothing to write home about, and Kawhi Leonard can do that to you, but he's certainly in play tonight. Right below that, one of my favorite plays on the slate tonight is Kristaps Porzingis. 8-8 on FanDuel, 8-1 on DraftKings. Minnesota 25th against opposing power forwards. They just have no one who can deal with Porzingis. He's really starting to get into a groove. I like how he's looked, especially recently. His last 2 games, a 58 and a 57. Good matchup. No Karl Anthony Towns for Minnesota. Minnesota on a back-to-back. I think Porzingis is in a nice spot tonight. Bam Adebayo with no Jimmy Butler should see extra usage. You saw he just got a 70 the other night. He's 8-6 and 8-5. I could certainly go there as well. Next, against a Houston team that's small, that doesn't have a lot of resistance up front. There you go, title of the sex tape. Julius Randle, 7-8 on FanDuel, 8-2 on DraftKings. Houston 18th against opposing power forwards. More importantly, Julius Randle is one of these big men who can stay on the floor with Houston. He's athletic enough to run up and down the court, can rebound, can score a little inside, give them problems. 47 and then a 21 in his last 2 against Houston, but I do like the matchup tonight for Julius Randle. Next, Robert Covington, 6-3 on FanDuel, 6K on DraftKings. New York, 14th against opposing power forwards. He's just become a massive part of this offense. And you can see in his last 3 games with Houston, a 44, a 40, and a 34. I do like Robert Covington as well. Brandon Clark, without Jaren Jackson there, he should see his minutes increase finally. Can we finally get 30 minutes of Brandon Clark? The Clippers, 23rd against opposing power forwards. In his last 3 games overall, a 45, a 29, and a 37. He's 5-2 and 5-5. I do like Brandon Clark with the absence of Jaren Jackson, who's going to be out a few weeks tonight. Naz Reid's been starting at center, getting some minutes. I just think his price has gone up too much. A guy like Josh Okogie, 4-4 on FanDuel, 4-3 on DraftKings. Back-to-back, so he could play a few more minutes. 30-point upside. He's playing in the mid-20s to low 30s in minutes. On a back-to-back, he could see a few more minutes. I could certainly go there. With Brook Lopez being ruled out for Milwaukee, a guy like Ersan Ilyasova, maybe Marvin Williams could see some extra minutes as well. It's going to kind of be a 3-headed monster there with Brook's twin brother Robin Lopez, Ilyasova, Marvin Williams, etc. So there is some risk there trying to find the proper value. Let's go to center. At center, no Ben Simmons. Another guy, Furkan Korkmaz. Fucking Korkmaz could be a guy for Philly too with Simmons out who sees more minutes and has some upside. We've seen that, especially right before the All-Star break. So at center, we got Joel Embiid, 10K on Fanduel, 9.5 on Draftkings. Atlanta's 25th against opposing centers. He's going to see extra usage and he's going to be even a more focal point of that offense without Ben Simmons there. A 64 and a 43 his last two against Atlanta. I do like Joel Embiid. Next, centers versus Brooklyn. We've been saying it for 3 years now. Nikolai Vucevic, 9.4 on FanDuel, 9.1 on DraftKings. Brooklyn's allowing the second most fantasy points in the league to opposing centers. A 59, a 54, and a 44 in his last 3 against Brooklyn. I like Vucevic an awful lot tonight. Next, Rudy Gobert. 8K on FanDuel, 7.9 on DraftKings. Phoenix, 27th in the league against opposing centers. A 44. Look at his last 5 against Phoenix. Nothing less than a 42. A 51, a 48, a 44, a 45, a 42. Rudy Gobert, the price is right, the matchup's right. I could certainly go there as well. Montrezl Harrell, I think, is way, way, way too cheap on both sides. 5.8 on FanDuel, 5.4 on DraftKings. Memphis allowing the 4th most fantasy points in the league to opposing centers. They're tied right there with Phoenix. A 40 and a 41 in his last 2 games against Memphis. Montrezl Harrell, way too cheap. Sign me up for some of that tonight. And if you're looking for some value, guys, Tristan Thompson could be an interesting value. Now, here's the problem with Cleveland. Number one, J.B. Bickerstaff is now their interim head coach. He's fucking window licker. Okay? He doesn't give a shit about rotations or fantasy, nothing. That team's in complete and utter tank mode. They also have Andre Drummond now, Larry Nance, Kevin Love should play tonight, so it's a 4-headed monster in the front court. But it does appear, though, even after Drummond came over, that Tristan Thompson's going to hold on to this role as kind of a mid-20-minute per game guy, and he can put up 45 as he just did a couple games ago. He's only 4.3 on FanDuel. Now, he's 5.5 on DraftKings. I'll probably pass there. But that 4.3 price on FanDuel against a Miami team that is 9th against opposing centers. But again, he should see a consistent amount of minutes off the bench. It doesn't appear as though he's taking a huge hit in terms of minutes. Another value guy, PJ Tucker. He's going to play a ton of minutes. Now, PJ Tucker is a lot like Tony Snell. He can play 35 minutes and get you a 4. I mean, it's that fucking bad. But 4.2 on FanDuel, 3.8 on DraftKings, 35 minutes against not a great New York team at home, so his 3-point shooting should be a little better. I think especially on DK on a cash game at 3.8, I think you can expect him to get around 20, which is all you really need. All you used to really need. Cash game scores have been absolutely ridiculous lately, but PJ Tucker for some value, certainly in play. If Mitchell Robinson misses tonight's game for New York, Bobby Portis could be an interesting value guy at 3.8 and 4K. He played 27 minutes in the last game. And then you got Mo Wagner, Thomas Bryant, play at your own risk there. So, Georgie Dieng, by the way, as well. Without Jaren Jackson, Georgie Dieng for Memphis could see a few more minutes. He played 20 minutes in that last game, put up a 32. He's 3.6 and 3.4. The Clippers, 21st against opposing centers. So that's our look at each position. Again, you can get access to all the research, the tool, and my player pool for every sport, hockey, baseball, NFL, etc., NBA, of course. Click that link in the video description below. You can try Draft Dashboard for 30 days for $1. When you do, how you find my player pool, my watched players, compare them to yours, etc., you click that Watch Players tab. That'll be the players that you're watching for your lineup optimizer or for your research, however you're using it. Click on your watched players. Then if you've used that link in the video description, you'll see a blue box at the top that says Watch DFS Bachelor's Picks, as well as a timestamp when they were last updated. So then you know if some news comes out at 11:30, and this is an Eastern time on here. I'm on the West Coast, just so you know. Not that that matters. I'm not sure why that matters. But if I haven't updated it after that, okay, maybe he hasn't seen the news or he hasn't had a chance to sit down and change his player pools, projections, etc. So that's an important thing to use there. And if you so desire, you can use my player pool in the lineup optimizer, compare them to yours, etc. Right now, obviously, I've only got about 28 players in an 8-game slate. It'll probably be closer to the 40s, maybe the 50s. Then you could put it in the mass lineup generator, lineup optimizer, etc. So let's make a quick sample lineup here on each side. So this gave us Luka, Kendrick Nunn, Josh Richardson, Clarkson, Glenn Robinson, Morris, Kawhi, Porzingis, and Gobert. Studs and scrubs and studs. Studs and duds. What the hell is going on with my brain this morning? I probably won't play both Luka and Porzingis, so I would need to choose one. I don't mind coming down to Trae Young right here. Kawhi, it's a bit expensive there, but we could save some money and try to really up like a guy like Brandon Clark. Then we can, upgrade from guys like Glenn Robinson, etc. If we really want to get Giannis in there, we can. We just have to start saving elsewhere. So, coming down to a guy like Montrezl Harrell makes a whole bunch of sense. Lots of different ways you can go. Kevin Huter, Delon Wright. What do we got down here? Well, maybe we can leave Clarkson. What do we need to save? 700, huh? Go down to Julius Randle, something like that. I don't mind that. Cash Game Optimizer is also available right now. Again, this is very early, so I'm not recommending just locking that in. Just kind of giving you an idea of how it works, what you could play, etc. Here on Draftkings, it gave us Conley, Richardson, Morris, Covington, Harrell, Clarkson, Kawhi, Rudy Gobert. Could save some salary from Kawhi, of course. There's Brandon Clark right there. Cam Reddish for value. Michael Bridges awfully cheap. Josh Okogie. There's Glenn Robinson way down there at 3-2. Again, lots of ways you can go. Click the link. Try it for 30 days. Create your own lineups. Compare them to mine, etc. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Be part of the weekly $25 PayPal giveaway. Congratulations again to Sheldon Trott. I really appreciate you all so much. Don't forget to comment with your fantasy draft username. Also, don't forget, Overlay DFS. I've been having a ton of fun with Overlay DFS. It's just been a different sweat. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the video, but Overlay DFS is a ton of fun. They also have a 50% deposit match right now. Be sure to contact them when you make your first deposit and let them know that you heard about the deposit match from the video, and they will sort you out with that as well. Overlay DFS, head-to-head matchups, jackpots, etc. A whole bunch of fun. OverlayDFS.com. You can download the app on the Apple iTunes Store, or if you're an Android user, you can download that from the website overlaydfs.com. Thank you all again so much. May the fantasy gods be with you. We'll see you all tomorrow for our NBA videos tomorrow. Thank you all again. Goodbye, folks.